What's going on, everybody? Lucas Decker here. In this video, I'll be showing you my favorite yo-yo products I like to use. This will include things like my favorite string, bearings, response pads, and more. So with all that being said, we're not wasting any more time. Let's get started. First up, we'll talk about string. So my favorite string to use is Kitty XL. Now, Kitty XL is a fairly thick string, and I like these thicker strings because when you're doing whip and slack tricks, they have a bit more mass to them. The string feels like it moves through the air with a bit more momentum. It's not very soft, but it's also not super rough either, and honestly, that doesn't really matter to me. If anything, I like it when strings feel a little more rough. Also, because this string is fairly thick, binds are usually pretty responsive and grippy. Now, one of the disadvantages of using a thicker string like Kitty XL is that when you're doing a trick with a lot of string layers around the bearing, there's going to be a bit more friction and the yo-yo might snag or slow down a little bit more often. But that's a fairly rare occurrence, and I don't find it has too big of an impact. So for me personally, I think it's a small price to pay. But yeah, that is my favorite string, Kitty XL. Now, I'm fully aware that Kitty String did some rebranding and modifications to their string. I have not tried their newer string yet. Once I run out of my current supply of Kitty XL, I'll probably give that a shot. Now, when it comes to my favorite bearings, honestly, I don't really care what kind of bearing it is. I haven't really gone out of my way to try a bunch of different bearings. I'm totally cool with using whatever bearing comes stock with the yo-yo. However, I don't like flat bearings like this, but typically I'll just use something like a center track bearing. They're not flat bearings and they get the job done. If you maintain them, they hold up pretty well, and honestly, that's all I really need in a bearing. Now, moving on to response pads. Response pads are similar to bearings. I'm totally cool with whatever pads come stock in the yo-yo. I usually only change them when I need to, but when it comes to response pads, I usually like to use two kinds. First up are the YoYoFactory natural pads. I find these ones work well with just about any yo-yo that you put them in. They have a nice level of grippiness to them, and they last for quite a while too. All around, they're just good response pads. And the other kinds of response pads that I like to use are the teal and blue pads. I don't have any left to show you, so here they are in a yo-yo. These pads are nice and grippy, and they last a while as well. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably go with the natural pad, just because I think it's a good standard response pad, and I find that there is a wider variety of situations to use it for. Now, when it comes to lubricating a bearing for an unresponsive yo-yo, I just use this Yo-Yo Jam Thin Viscosity. I haven't really had any reason to go out and buy more lubricant. I bought this like 7 years ago, and I still have a third of the bottle left. It helps maintain the bearing, keeping it smooth and unresponsive. That's awesome. But once I run out of that, I'll probably start using some YoYoFactory Thin Lube, or maybe try some of this Dark Matter stuff again. But for now, the Yo-Yo Jam Lube is doing its job, and that's awesome. Keeping it moving, next up we'll talk about yo-yo holsters. I'll be totally honest, I don't use these all too much, but I do really like these two. This one is super awesome. A super kind viewer sent me this awesome paracord yo-yo holster that they made. Shout out to you, Bill Ken. If you guys keep up with my TikTok, I actually did an unboxing of this there. Basically, you just open up this loop here, grab your yo-yo, put it right in that loop, and then you're just gonna pull it tight. Get it nice and snug, and you can just use this to clip it onto a belt loop. This one from YoYoTricks.com also works fairly well. It's pretty straightforward. You just push down here and then slide this up. That'll make the loop bigger. Then put the loop around the yo-yo like this. Then you just push here and slide down. And then again, you can use this to clip it onto a belt loop. Now lastly, when it comes to yo-yo competitions, I like to use yo-yo gloves. I like to use them because when I'm about to go on stage and I'm all nervous and excited, my hands get pretty sweaty. And I also like to practice my routines with yo-yo gloves on. That way, when I'm on stage, the tricks feel the same way they do when I'm practicing at home. Now, some yo-yo players might have one hand with a glove and one hand without. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this because it feels a little bit off balance, for lack of a better term. And I tried it once like this, and it did not go well. So when I'm on stage, I like to use two gloves. That way, the string slides across both my hands nice and evenly. And I think doing yo-yo tricks with gloves on looks way cooler. The gloves that I like to use are these new feeling nylon yo-yo gloves. I think stores like Yo-Yo Rewind and Yo Tricks sell them in pairs, and Yo-Yo Expert sells them individually. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the gloves that leave your pinky and ring finger exposed. I don't really see the point to it, and those ones seem to slide off a bit easier. Now, these new feeling nylon gloves fit nice and tightly around your hand. However, as you keep using them and stretch out their material, they're not going to fit your hand as tightly. So when that happens, you should probably just pick up a new pair. Unless you don't mind it, then that's totally cool as well. But those are the yo-yo gloves that I like to use. And that's gonna put a wrap on this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Excuse me. I know you enjoyed it. Guys, be sure to leave a comment down below and let us know what are some of your favorite yo-yo products that you like to use. Are you really particular about which products you use? Put it all down in the comments below. Let's have some awesome discussions. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It is super appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you very soon.